All right, guys, let's get rocking and rolling. First, let's talk about a couple of things. Hush. Hi. Raul, pick a new seat for today. Okay, quick announcements. What's going on Friday?
No school, remote.
It's remote. We are required as teachers to have something for you to do. You're going to have a quick quiz. You're not going to come physically here this Friday, okay? You will have a quiz on Friday for my class. So make sure you check in and do the quiz. It's not going to be available until Friday.
Will it be over what we did yesterday and today?
It's going to be what we've done for the last couple weeks, which is inverse functions and order of operations.
I need to look at Cooler Works too, maybe.
What?
I need to look at Cooler Works.
Okay. All right. Also, you need to know, a lot of you are turning in your work inappropriately. What I mean by this. Howard, move closer then. Then charge it at the front. I'm getting pictures for your notes that look like this. Can I see all the notes? Can I see all the notes now? No. I have to be able to see all of the notes for not just the front page, but I also need the pictures for the inside pages. Need to be able to see that it's all done. If you don't have pictures, cannot give it to you. Yes. I'm so sorry. I can only hear one person at a time. Yes. Okay, I'll do in a minute. First, we're going to do notes, and then we will worry about CudaWorks. When you do your notes, when you do your assignment, this is what it should look like. The title should be at the top of your page in your journal. So I can tell which assignment this is for. You should number your problems. You should have the original problem written down. I should see all of the work I should see all of the steps clearly, easy to see, easy to follow. The next question shouldn't be over the top of this. If you need to draw a line to make it clear which part belongs to which part, but it needs to be readable. If I cannot read it, you will get it sent back to you as incomplete. You've got to make it readable. Let's knock out today's notes. They're very, very easy, and then I will help anybody who's having technical difficulties or anybody who's been absent get caught up. Today should be really easy. What's our first step? It's going to be the same as yesterday's. No problem. What's your first step, y'all? Rewrite this as y. So I'm going to change this to y, and I like x's better. So I'm going to change that to an x. Laura, I don't have a request for you, which means you haven't confirmed it in your email. You got to confirm through your email, and then it will go to me. Okay, now what's our second step, guys? Perfect, Raul. Switch x and y, exactly. What's step 3? Yeah, I'm just gonna try to make that a little clearer. That looks a little better to me. Solve for y. So if y is what I want all by itself, that's this term is what I want by itself first. What do we need to move? Add this 3. Totally right. Angel, are those like terms? No, so they can't go together. They're just stuck. Now this is where the steps get slightly different. This is the exact same thing that we've done before, but we've done it. Okay, I'm gonna do it on a scratch paper so that it doesn't disrupt this. We've done this like this. How would we get rid of 2 in the denominator? We would normally just multiply by 2, right? But since we don't have a 2 in the bottom, what do we have in the bottom? So we're just going to multiply by y. What do those 2 y's do? Yes, sir. Then what do we do? We still want the y by itself. What's with the y right now? This whole group. So we're going to divide by this whole group. Can you guys see that this crosses out? And we're left with just y. So rational functions is just any function that has a variable in a fraction, so a variable in the denominator. So what's our last step? Step 4, rewrite what? Yeah, y is going to come h inverse of n. H inverse of n. And I'm just going to change it back to be whatever letter we started with. And you can't see what I did, I'm sorry. That means inverse. What are our 2 ways to check? What are the 2 ways to check, you guys?
Graphing and composition.
Exactly, composition of functions. Fog and what? Goff. Fog and Goff. Those are your 2 most common ways. Am I going a little too fast?
A little bit.
All right. Functions, yeah. At the bottom here, this is going to be the secret that makes it so that this is easy to do. You're going to treat the numerator and the denominator as though they have parentheses. So anytime there's a fraction, so let's say that I had x. Ooh. Raul, keep your ringtone either off or make it appropriate. Okay, you guys, if this was my fraction, make sure you put parentheses on the top and make sure you put parentheses on the bottom. Even if they don't tell you they're there, put them there. It will make it so your math is right every time. Pause dramatically for you to write it down. When you're ready, flip your page open. Looks like most of us are ready. Okay, same steps, same steps. What are we going to do? I'm going to change this to a y. Now, if you don't need to do that, like if you just automatically switch them, I don't care. I don't feel like you need to show that step if you're at the point where you got that down. Next step. What do we do? Switch them. Exactly. Alvarez, get off your phone. Tell them they're going to have to wait. You're busy getting smart. Now, guys, what was the tip I just gave you? Put that like that. Can you see how the y is on the bottom? Y cannot be on the bottom if I want to solve for it. So I want to get this on the top. So you have two options, which is basically the same. You're good, you're good, you're good. Either multiply up, like cross multiply, or multiply both sides by that, which is exactly the same thing. It just, some kids, however you think of it, it's the same. So can you see that these cross? And then I'm going to leave this as negative y minus 1 with the x here right now. You with me? You guys with me? Okay. We still want the y by itself. Can I get rid of the 1? No, because it's inside the parentheses. What's outside the parentheses? The x. How do I get that to the other side? What is it doing right now? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? This is multiply, so what's the opposite of multiply? Divide by x. Now I know that this is a new way of thinking, so I only gave you 5 problems today. What's left on this side? Equals over. Perfect. What do we want by itself? The y. What do we need to move? Let's move it. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Plus 1, plus 1. I'm out of room, so I'm going to jump up. Tell me when I can scroll up. We good? Okay, so this is what we have so far. Don't forget the negative on that y. How do we get rid of the negative on the y, though? How do we change it to a positive? Multiply by what? Yes. Now, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to think of this. You can think of this as a negative 1 times the y. And you could divide by the negative 1 everywhere. But what's negative 1 times negative 1? Positive. So I'm going to take this whole equation and I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So negative times a negative is a positive. So I've got just plain positive y. Negative times a positive is a negative. So keep the negative on the top. In general, we put the negative on the numerator. And negative times a positive is a negative. And we're done. We've got one last step. What's our last step? Rewrite. Instead of y, what am I going to rewrite? G inverse of, good, G inverse of x. We're going to get the vocabulary down soon. You guys with me? Alrighty. Are we ready to do number 3? Let's rock and roll. Step 1. Switch it to a y. And I'm going to switch it to an x too, because I like x's better. It's just easier for me. And I already know I'm gonna need two sides to this. Now, in your journal, when you're doing your work for your assignment, I do not care how many pages it takes you. If you need to write big, write big. If you need scratch paper, use your scratch paper. Don't matter. If you want to do it on a whiteboard and take a picture, that's okay, but it's not as good as in your journal, because your journal you can use on tests and quizzes. But on a whiteboard, you're going to erase it and you can't look back, right? Okay. Walk me through. What's my first step now? Switch the X and the Y. Oh, what did I mess up? I wrote X twice. Now what? Add 2. Raul, how did you know we were going to add instead of multiply first? Yeah, this is like in parentheses, and we want to get everything outside the parentheses first. Plus 2, plus 2. Good explanation, Raul. Raul, if you bring me your notes, I'll sign the front of it and say plus 5 extra credit, and then when you turn it in, I'll know to give you extra credit. Okay, what do we do next? Can't.
You multiply y plus
Yeah.
3 on both sides.
I heard 3 of you saying it. I love that. Great job. You got to put this side in parentheses because it's got to go to the whole thing. And you can either just think of this as over 1 and cross multiply. Right? You can think of that as cross multiply. Whenever we cross multiply, it has to be across the equal sign. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So we can have x plus 2 times y plus 3 is equal to negative 4 times 1. That's the same thing as if I multiplied both sides by y plus 3, y plus 3. I'm going to just take this and write it at the top of my next little area. What's negative 4 times 1? Negative 4, yeah. So I just left it as a negative 4. All right. Which group do I want to keep? Do I want to keep the y or do I want to keep the x? The y is what I want, so we're going to move this. How am I going to move it to the other side? It's multiplied now. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide by the whole group. Do I need the parentheses on the y plus 3 anymore? No. How can I tell? You're checking for 2 things on parentheses. 1, is there a power? Is there anything distributing? If you don't have those 2 things, you don't need them. So I've got no power left. I've got nothing multiplied by it. I needed it when this was multiplying, but since we divided that and it's gone, I don't need it anymore. Ready to go? Howard, put your phone away and focus. What are you doing? Oh. My bad, my bad. I thought you were playing a game. You were like bobbing your head, and I was like, there's no way math's that fun. No way. I mean, I love math.
What is number 2?
Number 2?
No, for the note on the bottom.
Oh, distribution.
Distribution.
Yeah, distribute. Okay, we got one more step left, guys. We want y by itself. What do we need to move? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Subtract, subtract. It cannot touch this group because it does not have the same denominator. So it's just going to be tagged at the end. Boom. Now, honestly, there's one more step just to rewrite it. But on your homework, I don't expect you to rewrite it. What I'm really looking for on your homework is that I'm looking that A, you have the problem written down so that I can know what you're doing. B, I'm looking to see that your processes make sense. So you're adding when you should be adding. Sometimes I see you guys subtract 2 when you should be adding 2. Sometimes you guys cross things out that can't be crossed out. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see what common mistakes people are making or if you're really understanding it. Because when I look at your work and I say, hey, everybody's really understanding this, let's move on. When I look at it and I see, oh, everybody's struggling with fractions, let's break it down, let's make it easier, let's help us build those skills. Does that make sense? That's why I make you show me the work, because just knowing if you got it right or wrong doesn't tell me if you used Mathways or any other kind of like photo math. I want to know if you actually understand this stuff. That's why I make you show me the work. All right, we got 2 more problems. Flip it. Let's go. All right. Those of you who really understand what you're doing, take a break. Like, I mean, I still want you to participate and do your work on your paper, but just don't answer the question and like count to 10 before you answer to give everybody else a chance, okay? So if you know the answer, count to 10 first. If you don't usually participate, go ahead and be bold. And if you think you know the answer, you can say it to me. If you're embarrassed to say it out loud, you can hold up your fingers or you can use a whiteboard. Don't care. Who knows what step 1 is? Bo, change to a Y. Who knows what step 2 is? Flip X and Y. Change X and Y. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Without even thinking, I put the parentheses on it. I should have asked you if we needed the parentheses. I didn't even think about it, but I did it. Alvarez, do you know what we do next?
We add 3.
Yep. Howard, are those like terms?
Huh?
Are those like terms? That means can they go together? No, they can't go together. Marvin, what's our next step? All right, I'm sorry. I'll give you a moment to write. If you get stuck, that's Marvin too. You can both help each other. We got 2 Marvins, we got 2 Mauricios. I'm glad you like yourself. We got 2 Jacobs too, but the other Jacob's virtual.
We got 2 Josephs?
We got a lot of 2s in this class.
Y can be in the bottom.
Yeah, we got to get that Y out the bottom. How are we going to do it? Holloway got you. Holloway, say it. Multiply. Do you guys want to cross multiply or do you want to multiply both sides? Both sides? That's how I roll too. Now if I multiply on this side over here, what do I need to put on this x plus 3? I do. Now honestly, I wrote a little too cramped, so that's kind of hard to put it there. So I'm just going to write it kind of there. And then I'm going to write it again. What do these 2 do? Oh, they're Mauricio. Yeah, they do. Other Marvin. What's our next step? You still writing? I'll give you a minute to write. Guys, I'm just going to copy this to the top of the next column, okay? Do you guys feel like we're learning better now that we're doing stuff more together? Me too. It was hard for me when everybody was at a different place. I think that was hard for you guys too, huh?
They ain't split apart, period.
That is true. It's not as hard as real life, though.
Nah, that ain't easy.
School is definitely easier than real life. Are you saying the other direction? You saying real life's easier? Well, that depends. Do you pay all your own bills?
Yeah,
For real?
in my car.
Do you pay your insurance? Do you pay your food? Do you pay your clothes? Pay your rent?
Not right now.
So you're getting there. Okay, tell me when we're ready to go. Marvin, what's our next step? What do we want by itself? Shh, shh. We want the y by itself. So we need to move this guy. Is this adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing with that guy? What's the opposite of multiply? So we're going to divide both sides by what? No, what's with x plus 3? That whole group, we want to get it all moved to the other side because that whole group is multiplying. Raul, put your phone away, please. Anybody at all? What do I do here? Cross what out? What am I left with? Do I need those parentheses? I do not. Now guys, you can write the parentheses, and if in your work when you realize you don't need them, I don't mind if you cross them out. You don't have to write a new line. But for clarity, when I'm teaching, I do, just so that no one gets lost. But on your work, I'm totally fine if you just scribble them out. Yeah, just add one. Can this go with the 2? Why not? It does not have the same denominator. Now, we could, I don't think that they do this, but I would like you to watch for just 1 second. If I think of this as 1 over 1, we could get a common denominator by multiplying by the same denominator. And then I would have and then I put these two together. So the x is still chilling. 3 take away 2 is 1 over x plus 3. They could write it like this, or they could write it like that. Either way is correct, but I don't.
What's the answer?
There's 2 different ways they could write it. They could either write it like this, or they could write it like -2 x plus 3 plus 1. These are the same thing. They don't look the same, but they are the same. Graph them. You don't believe me? You want me to show you? Let me show you in Desmos, okay? Oh, this is just one baby step. One baby step. Okay, let me show you. The equation was y equals, and we could have -2 divided by, it was x plus 3? Yeah? And then it was plus 1? That's what the graph looks like. And then y equals x plus 1 divided by x plus 3. Can you see that the blue is right on top of the red? Can I pick a color? Can I make it bolder? Huh. Those are my only options, huh? I can't actually read what it says. It's too small for my blind. Line thickness? Yeah, I can't tell. But if I get rid of the red, like, see how there's no change? This is one of them. This is the other one, and it's literally right on top of it. Same exact thing. So they're equivalent forms of the same thing. This is how I expect it to be on most of the multiple choice. You follow? Let's do one more. Let's knock it out quick. Let's rock and roll. Step 1, change to a Y. Thank you. Boom. Step 2, switch. Switch what? The X and the Y. Add 1. Go Holloway. Pause because I'm probably going way too fast because I wasn't bored. Pardon? Good. Parentheses around the X. Multiply by what? What are we trying to get up? We want that Y up. Let me know when you're ready. Tell me what to do. What do we want by itself? So what do we need to do? Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to write it up here. Next step. This is fine. However, the computer will make this a common denominator. What do I need to multiply to get my common denominator? X plus 1, x plus 1, distribute. That's like one big fraction bar, which I drew really ugly, I'm sorry. In the numerator, what things can go together? Can the 3 go with the 2x? Can those go together? Can the 3 go with the minus 2? Positive one, right? 3 take away 2? 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And they could write it like this, or they can write it like this. They can write it either way. See how the order didn't matter? Doesn't matter. Just want you to be able to recognize which ones are correct. That is it. Now, I know a couple of you need help getting into CudaWorks. Let's go ahead and get you in and everything sorted out. Today's assignment should be pretty short. It's only 5 questions. When you're done, your only job is to make sure everything's turned in. Okay, so I know, Laura, you needed help getting in. Jacob, did you need help getting in?